Welcome in, everybody, to race number 6 of the MMS Little Dogs Big Dog Series tonight, the next-gen cars at Daytona International Speedway. We're going to go ahead and pull up the grid right now. It's a little bit of a rushed pre-race. Had some technical difficulties. Luckily, those are all sorted out for now, and hopefully they stay that way. Ethan Eckert for Nightmare Esports will be starting on the pole position here tonight, with Daniel Falkingham for Karlbon eSports in the Coke Series starting to his outside. In second, Freddie Baznez, his teammate, but Ethan Eckert in front of him. Baznez himself will be starting in third position tonight, along with their former team owner, Logan York for PBG in fourth. Asher Little fifth, Kenny McCullough sixth, Brian Hennings in seventh, Sterling Thies in eighth, Hunter Hastings in ninth, and James Waring will round out the top 10. Michael Barksdale will be starting in 11th tonight, Michael Wingo in 12th, 13th place will be Mark Von Dell, Nathan Harper in 14th, Dylan Jones 15th, Daniel Eberhardt 3rd in 16th, Joshua McCullough 17th, Chris McCullough 18th. Josh Jambroni is once again tonight's race control. He is not racing. Rick Schneider and Ambrose Knable will be rounding out tonight's field. And we speak of Josh Jambroni. Once again, he is joining us in the booth, and so is Evan Karlbon, just like last week, so we will get to them momentarily. Let's pull up the race info. Next Gen Cars, Daytona International Speedway, 75 laps here tonight. A very light field for 75 laps, but we will be running all of those. 50% in the fuel tanks, unlimited tires, one faster pair, fixed setups, and 3 attempts, and overtime if we need them. So I'll go ahead and get Evan's perspective, I guess, on what we're going to see here tonight.
Hello, people. We are going to see 20 drivers clash it out for another shot at glory in the Little Dog Big Dog Series. I drove in this series last week, and it did not pay well at all. I'll just say that. And we got the front runners of Ethan Eckert, Daniel Falkingham, Freddie Bazinez, and Logan York. They're going to be the ones to watch tonight and the ones to beat, ultimately. But I wouldn't count out somebody like a Nathan Harper, who's starting all the way back in 14th, and a Dylan Jones, who knows how to get to the front even when he's riding at the back.
Definitely some drivers to watch out for. And, of course, Daniel Falkingham, one of the favorites every single week, every single race that he's ever in. But you got to also talk about the guys like Asher Little, someone that's been on a tear recently, starting in 5th, and the Sundrop 01 Chevrolet Camaro, Brian Hennings behind him, and Kenny McCullough, who is pretty good at these next-gen cars. He's very sneakily kind of good at these things. So it's going to be a good race to watch. Again, a very light field. That's a little bit disappointing to only have 20 cars out here tonight. But I'm sure we're going to have a good show nonetheless, and hopefully it's going to be maybe less cautions than we have seen in this series recently. And I think a good person to have a take on that will be Josh Jambroni, tonight's race control. So what are your thoughts before we get this thing going?
You know, I'm really hoping this does not go like the last couple races, these last couple nights, but I really doubt it. We got about the same people in every field here, and, you know, there's these are the next-gen cars on a small track. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be something to watch. Hopefully we can see some maybe 4 wide, but I doubt it. Maybe a little 3 wide, but I'm guessing it's going to be mostly 2 and single file here.
Yeah, and I thought we just got the green flag, but evidently they're going to hold that. I guess someone missed the grid, and they will be recollecting that driver. Probably on the back stretch, so the actual green flag will come out of turn 2. So I guess we have a little bit more time to go here. The rest of the field pacing about 70 miles an hour. Catching back up. This is always a funny thing to watch, and especially do when the green flag's out and your spotter's telling you car inside, car outside, even though you're not even racing at the moment. So I'm not really sure who they're trying to pick up right now. It might be Ambrose. It's not going to be Ambrose. Rick Schneider. Chris McCullough, maybe? Might be Chris McCullough that missed tonight's grid. But he's going to line up at the back, and presumably we're about to go racing here at any time now. Still pacing. There we go. Heard the engines accelerate. Now we are finally racing here at Daytona. And we've already got some wall contact, apparently, in turn number 4, and already some splitting going on as well. It looked like Ethan Eckert tried to go up to the top side, and Daniel Falkingham didn't really like that he was doing that, and he tried to split him, but it ends up being Ethan Eckert with a push from Logan York and Kenny McCullough coming to his aid, and Daniel Falkingham finds himself in 8th, Evan.
Yeah, from what I saw back in turn 3, Daniel Falkingham wanted to get straight to the point, but Ethan Eckert had his help from his buddy Logan York and Kenny McCullough pushing 3 deep. It concerns me on what that bottom line is going to do now that with the new update of the next gen, the side draft is far more important than it once was. And to me, it looks like that bottom line is dead with Asher Little leading and Daniel Falkingham right behind him.
Yeah, sure enough. And the thing with these next-gen cars, I'm going to try to speak in an unbiased tone right now. These cars used to be very, very fun. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone that doesn't agree with that statement. Oh, we got Contact with Freddie Bazinez, maybe Sterling Thice, I believe, or Michael Barksdale, excuse me, in the 00. They sorted that out. But iRacing updated these next-gen cars a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point, and basically made them more in tune to how they race in real life, which from a simulation standpoint, of course, that's a great thing, but from a fun standpoint, not so much, because they slowed them down. They slowed the engines down, they slowed the runs down in this car, and in doing all that, to Evan's point, they made the side draft even stronger. So it's very difficult to get a bottom lane rolling unless you have 3 or 4 outstanding pushers on the bottom. And what you tend to see now in these cars is what we're seeing right now. A freight train around the outside lane of the racetrack about 6, 7, 8 cars deep. So we will see at some point probably the likes of Falkingham, a couple others back here, maybe Josh McCullough, a good pusher, Nathan Harper as well. If that group gets put together on the bottom, they will go somewhere, but it's going to be a tough time for them trying to break away from that side draft.
Yeah, as I pointed before, that bottom line is only going to continue to go further and further back unless Nathan Harper can give... Who is that in front of him? Is that Michael Barksdale in the big red 00?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so you got Nathan Harper, who's been on the biggest roll of his money racing career, winning 2 out of 3 major events last week. And you got Freddie Bazinez dropping to the bottom. Kenny McCullough is now going to the bottom. Let's see how much ground this bottom line can make up with Freddie and Kenny get connected together. Excuse me.
Yeah, Daniel Eberhardt in the 90 machine with D3 on the hood gave a great push, a tremendous push to Michael Barksdale on the bottom lane of the racetrack. Freddie Bazinez, and Kenny McCullough took note of that, and they decided they wanted to hop down there too, as well as Ethan Eckert and Logan York, but Logan York decided better of it, and he wanted to go back to that top side and lead that line with a push from Asher Little. They're going to come down to side draft now, as you can see how strong that side draft is, but what a push on the bottom from Kenny McCullough, not going to be able to get Ethan Eckert clear out of that corner. So the outside will prevail once more. Now the bottom lane is almost falling apart. You have the 12 and the 03 on the bottom, tandeming away from everybody. Not dead yet. Here comes Asher Little down to the bottom of the racetrack. He wants a piece of this lead. Brian Hennings now lead pusher. Daniel Falkingham wants to go middle. He's trying it. Hennings blocks it. Now Josh McCullough trying to avoid all this. He wants to go back to the top and take Nathan Harper's right rear. He's not going to have enough of a run to do that. But Logan York and Brian Hennings will still prevail on the top side.
Yeah, as I just noticed, I keep talking about the bottom here. They're pushing 4 deep all the way back to Freddie Bazinez, but Asher Little was hitting the bip on the... Oh, we got wrecking. Brian Hennings is around. He's going to save it. He's on the wall.
Brian Hennings around.
Back around.
Dylan Jones getting a piece of it as well in the back, but no cars really spin out here. There's Jones coming back onto the racetrack, and Brian Hennings as well. They all kept it straight, and what this is going to do is separate this field potentially. Brian didn't seem to lose too much momentum in that. It's kind of surprising considering how hard we just saw him hit the wall. But now everyone up front notices that. They saw that just happen, so now they think, let's run the bottom of the racetrack.
Jones around again.
Oh my
goodness. He saved it again.
Just caught a look at that at the back of turn number 2, getting spun back down. Now going to file in behind his teammate Daniel Eberhardt. Now this group is side drafting each other. Bad news for these guys. They need to get it organized very, very quickly. There are about 5 good cars back here that can get organized if need be to try and make a push towards the front. But here's their issue. At the front pack is about, oh my goodness, it's about 11 cars deep. 11 cars deep all the way back to Chris McCullough in the 4 machine. And these guys are rolling the bottom lane of the racetrack is the shorter way around, and this is what you want to do when you're trying to break the field. Do you have an incident like that? Oh, wait a second. Asher Little wants to keep racing for it. This might help out that group in the back a little bit if he gets some help. But nobody's really wanting to do that. You see some guys going up there. They're not going to have an opportunity to get back down. Maybe they will. Sterling Thice took advantage of Michael Wingo and Asher Little. Now Chris McCullough trying to go to the low side on Wingo. and will do it successfully. They once again need to get organized quickly. Now Michael Wingo's side drafting Chris McCullough away from the pack. That is not good news for Chris McCullough or Michael Wingo. They seem to have sorted it back out back there, so hopefully they will be able to latch back onto this pack. Here's a better wide view of it. Look at the gap now that Chris McCullough has because of that side draft from Michael Wingo. That's a problem. They're already about a second and a half off from a simple side draft from Michael Wingo to Chris McCullough. Now they've lost this lead pack. The back of this pack is now Asher Little. There he is in the 01 machine. So now we're down to only 9 cars in this lead pack, with Logan York leading it into turn 3.
Yeah, that backpack where we had Dylan Jones and Brian Hennings and Daniel Eberhardt, they have now caught Hunter Hastings and James Waring, adding more fuel to their fire in order to try and catch up to this lead pack. As you said, that Chris McCullough and Michael Wingo were side drafting at one point. They're only going to ultimately fall back to that main pack, and we might have a race. But it really depends, because it looks like we're going to have pit stops in about 10 laps because of this 50% fuel load that we have tonight.
And pit stops are going to dice up this field even further. It happens every single round of pit stops, green flag pit stops that we have in Money Racing. It's going to split some guys out. They're going to lose the pack, the main pack it is. Probably even their pack at this point, since we do have about... at this point in time, it looks like just 2 packs. And this pack is still racing back here. I don't understand why we're doing this back here. These guys need to sort it out so they can make progress. The leader of this is Daniel Eberhardt. He's 6 seconds behind Ethan Eckert, the current leader of the race. And they're single file now, but they really need to get going, and they need to get it sorted. And they're making very, very slight progress, but it's not going to be good enough, because they do have 2 bridge cars in front of them, that being Chris McCullough and Michael Wingo. Here they are. But it's just not going to be enough. They need to make a lot of time up very quick and probably hope for a mistake from this lead pack, which it looks like they shuffled Logan York out of the picture here. Maybe he took topside, saw that Ethan Eckert was getting hot, and decided it'd be a faster alternative to just drop out of the pack, get picked up by Nathan Harper at the back of it. So now Ethan Eckert and Kenny McCullough can try and forward their progress. Asher Little's in danger. Now, he is almost losing, this draft. At the back, it looks like he still has it now and still carrying some speed, about 4/10 back. He should be all good. You would think, but this car is a unique car now. These days, especially with the update. We'll have to keep an eye on Asher Little. He seems to be losing a little bit of time now, even though they're not. I don't know. It's hard to explain with the way this car works now. It seems almost inexplicable the ways you lose the draft. Even when you're in a single file line full throttle, you can still lose it. He is still losing time as we speak. But then again, the guy in front of him is a little bit as well. Sterling Theis in the 41 is starting to lose this draft. Nathan Harper is going to be fine. He's losing Logan York's bumper a little bit, but Asher Little, I think, has completely lost this draft now, and that's tough news. If they keep dropping people out of this pack, it's just going to keep feeding that pack in the back a little bit more. Speaking of them, they're now 7 seconds behind the leaders. We'll go back and take a look at them. Here they are, and we're racing again. I truly don't understand what's going on here. They caught up to Christopher McCullough and Michael Wingo. We see that Rick Schneider is getting sent to the back. Maybe he made a move. Maybe he just went out. Who knows? Because he was hot. Now we just have all sorts of discombobulation in this second pack, and it's unfortunate. They need to get some solid pushers together, working together to advance their positioning on the racetrack. They've almost lost a second this lap. So if these guys keep doing this how it is right now, they're going to need a yellow flag to come out at some point later on in this race, or hopefully some sort of issues on the pit stops for this lead pack, which is still Eckert, McCullough, Basnez, Falkingham, and Barksdale, the top 5 of this race.
Yeah, almost 15 laps into the race. And how about Michael Barksdale, a guy that you never really see running at the front? He's also kind of new to our community that we have here, running top 5 solidly, right behind Daniel Falkingham, the most consistent driver, in my opinion, in the money racing community. But yeah, with the product of Asher Little dropping off the main pack, that's a byproduct of what I learned from our leader, Ethan Eckert. You have to stay tucked up no matter what, because it's like a piece of mozzarella stick. You're gonna just string out. Trying to paint a picture to the viewers, but like I said, you're just gonna string out. But Sterling Theis looks like to have caught back up to the main pack in remarkable fashion because with this next gen update, Asher Little was doing the same thing and he didn't catch up. So, like you said, Landon, caution's gonna have to come out soon and real soon.
Yeah, definitely. I love that analogy of a piece of mozzarella stick, I should say, because that's definitely what it is. Very cheesy on the inside, and it just strings out. That's exactly what this car does. It's a very odd car aerodynamically. The way the bubble works at the rear of the car, and it's just a very air-involved vehicle. And when you have something like that, it's kind of unique to try and work your way around it, obviously, because you can't see air unless you're Dale Earnhardt. So why would... Yeah, you know, it's going to be difficult for some of these guys that maybe they're not used to this car, maybe like the likes of Michael Barksdale, like you said, someone new to money racing, even though he's doing a great job so far. Maybe Michael Wingo, a couple guys that might be new to this car, or at least maybe don't have the experience of some of the other drivers in this field. It's going to be a tough adjustment for them, and I'm glad you mentioned Sterling Thies, sure enough, did catch to the back of the pack. And while you were speaking, I took a look, it was the digger cam in turn number 1, where we saw the gap visibly between this first pack and the second pack, and it almost seems insurmountable at this point. 7 seconds on lap 16, even though, yes, there is still about 60 laps to go in this race. Anything can happen. But if it stays green, I don't see them coming back up, especially with how this lead pack...
We're racing again.
Are we really? Let's go back and see. Sure enough. I'm perplexed, honestly. Like, I don't understand, but... Asher Little, there's a look at him in the 01. He has obviously lost the lead pack and now finds himself in this pack. At least he has caught onto this pack. That's good news for Asher. But the bad news is that he's about 7 seconds behind. Here's maybe a little bit of good news. Even through this racing that's happening, Christopher McCullough, we can see him gaining on the leaders right now. That gap was about 7.5 seconds, 7.6. It's down to 6.9. And he's got Daniel Eberhardt pushing him, and that's probably the best news for him, because Daniel Eberhardt's one of the best pushers there is in this car. And now it's getting a little bit split up back here. I think this pack's going to catch back up with Dylan Jones and Hunter Hastings. Sure enough, they're catching back up now. But they were almost in danger of losing this pack, and we were about to have 3 of them on the racetrack because of that racing. That gap is now stabilized a little bit, 6.9, 2, 3, 4, 5. It keeps kind of alternating around. Now it's going to lose a little bit with Eberhardt having to back off of Chris McCullough's bumper to grab some air. But he's going to push him down this front straightaway. And that's terrific. Well, the problem is, these guys are pushing too. The 12 and the 03, Kenny McCullough pushing Ethan Eckert. So, like we said, we keep harping on it. They're going to need something special to happen to them. Freddie Basnez, Ethan Eckert, Logan York, and Nathan Harper all coming in for a pit stop. Nathan Harper really hot. And I think he's actually going to make it. I don't know. It looks like he got it slowed down enough. Logan York was definitely locking up when he was entering his pit. So here we have a group of 4 drivers right here coming in for a pit stop. They want to do this as clean as possible. It seems to be like they're all taking left side tires, it appears. Sure enough, they are. There's Harper leaving his box now. So the leader of the race right now is Kenny McCullough and Daniel Falkingham. Look at the separation. Strong separation back here. Michael Barksdale in third's by himself. Sterling Thies is by himself. Mark Vondell is a lap down. Well, imagine these guys are coming in pit now. Sure enough, here they come. Kenny McCullough, Daniel Falkingham, Barksdale, Sterling Thies kind of hot in entry. He's going to make it too, and so will Mark Vondell. So more cars in this pack, but they were so strung out they weren't going to be making great pace in that lap that Eckert, York, Harper, and Basnez came into pit. But this seems to be just about the rest of the field. Sure enough, here's the second pack. The damaged Brian Hennings, Hunter Hastings, Dylan Jones, Asher Little, D3, James Waring, Chris McCullough, Rick Schneider as well. There he is missing his box, it appears. Tough break for the 3 of Schneider. So let's take a look as these guys exit. Just about only Falkingham and McCullough going to be together here. If this group is lined up, and they are, Eckert, Basnez, York, and Harper are going to wax these guys. They're obviously going to wax the pack that was already 7 seconds behind. But they're doing a terrific job right now. Look at them. They're going to pass Thies. They're going to pass Barksdale. They're going to be coming up on McCullough and Falkingham. Look at the run they have. They're going to take it to the outside of the racetrack. And those two are going to struggle to try and catch back up to the pack. So is Nathan Harper. He's kind of losing this group that he pit with. He's going to try and clear down. That's good for him in front of Falkingham, and they're going to most likely pick him up and then push him back to the leaders of the race, Eckert, Baznez, and York, which means we'll have a 6-car pack as the leaders of the race. There's Barksdale by himself, 4 seconds back and growing from the leader, Theiss with Von Dell, and then you have Eberhardt, Dylan Jones, and Asher Little hooked up together. Hunter Hastings and Brian Hennings are together. Even though they've lost each other, here's James Waring by himself, Josh McCullough by himself, Michael Wingo by himself, Rick Schneider by himself, and Christopher McCullough by himself. So it is tough news for these guys in the back, because it's not like sure, they're already back there and everything, but they're not even close to organized whatsoever. They're almost all single file. As we take it back up front, it's still Eckert, Baznez, and York. There's Harper and Falkingham and McCullough. And they should catch back up with ease. They're about 3/10 back, sure enough. Look at this run that they have. And they're probably not going to race here. There's no point in doing that. Just keep your lines organized and continue to run away with this thing.
Yeah, as I'm looking back at what was 2 separate packs now is formed into one. You got D3, Dylan Jones and Asher Little pulling away from Michael Barksdale, Mark Vondell, and Sterling Theiss. They took that run and ran with it. Now the question is if Michael Barksdale, Mark Vondell, and Sterling Theiss can all get hooked up together, catch that pack in front of them, and hopefully give some hell to the leaders up in the front. But it's a 6v6 virtually, and I don't think it's going to play off.
Well, yeah, it's a 6v6 with, let's be honest, I mean, there's some good guys in the second pack, but then you look at the first pack, and these are guys you expect to be up front every single week and winning races every single week, all 6 of them that are in this pack. And the pack with the somewhat lesser experienced drivers, they're already at a disadvantage of 7.5 seconds and growing. So once again, we're going to need a yellow flag to come out, and honestly, we're about a third of the way through this race now, and I at this point in time, I don't see one happening. Unless we start racing with like 2 or 3 laps to go at the front of this thing, I don't see a yellow flag coming out for the rest of this race, which I guess will allow me an opportunity to talk to our race control, Josh Jambroni, who has a very easy job so far in this race, so I'm sure you're appreciative of that.
Yeah, this is great for me. I mean, it's good racing. All I gotta do is keep switching between the packs, make sure they don't kill each other in the process here. But they're keeping it pretty civil, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a easy job for the RC, and then it's easy for him, and then it can be difficult for us broadcasters to try and find things to talk about when everyone's just single file on the racetrack, especially when we're just looking at this group who is so organized, well organized, and continuing to dominate this race. So we'll go back. Here's Eberhardt, Jones, and Little. They have been caught up by Michael Barksdale and Sterling Theiss, so good for them. Unfortunately, they're going to lose Mark Vondell, who was already lapped down in this race. Looks like he's definitely going to be losing their pack. So that's going to end in Theiss for the second pack. Let's go look at the third pack, which is only 2 cars, if you can even call it a pack. Hunter Hastings and Brian Hennings. A tough break for Brian, getting spun into the wall so early on in the race, and is now finding himself with a damaged car and in 13th position. Is the 74 Brian Hennings, one of the guys with the best paint jobs you'll ever see out here. And it doesn't matter what car it is, he's always going to have one that's one of the best out there on the track. It's a little bit scuffed up for Brian, and he'll be hoping for a yellow flag to come out soon. Let's keep going back a little bit to James Waring. Here he is. He's picked up Joshua McCullough. Josh McCullough all over the place trying to push James back up to the likes of Hastings and Hennings. Let's look at Josh. Getting a little bit of air most likely. And then we have Michael Wingo with Rick Schneider. So these two have caught each other. And then Christopher McCullough, unfortunately, still by himself back here. Currently, the last car on the lead lap of the race and almost in last place in the race to begin with, Mark Vondell. Here he is, just one lap down for Marky Mark. Technically the last car in the race at this point in time in 19th position. So we are now officially a third of the way through tonight's race. And all we've seen so far is about pure domination from Ethan Eckert, Freddie Baznez, Logan York, Nathan Harper, Daniel Falkingham, Kenny McCullough. That gap from Eberhardt and Jones is growing even further. It's now 8 seconds. It's closing a little bit now, but overall the gap's still going, and it's just a tough break for these guys, and obviously they need a caution. They need some crazy things to happen, and look, they very well could. This is money racing after all in super speedways. We see something crazy happen on a nightly basis. So, they're not out of it yet by any means, but it's looking a little bit tough for them right now.
Yeah, like you reverted back to a couple laps ago. I have no idea what to talk about right now. I'm used to witnessing a lot of racing, but this is some tame racing that we're not accustomed to. As you could tell, viewers, I am basically buffering in the mind because I don't know what to talk about, like I said. But I think our RC, Josh Jambroni, should throw a little competition caution to spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That'd be nice, especially for us up
Yeah.
here. The drivers out on the racetrack, especially the top 6, would not be fans of that. And I should say top 7 now, because they have picked up Chris McCullough. There's Kenny trying to pick him up, and he's picking him up, but I don't know if that was the move for Kenny, unless he can push him back up to Dan, because when that all happened, that side drafted Falkingham away from the pack. Yeah, they might be okay here. They should be. Yeah, they're gaining back now. So he picked up his cousin Chris right there. Will now be the first car a lap down. Overall, kind of a tough night for McCullough Motorsports so far, outside of Kenny McCullough in the 03. Yeah, I'd say they're catching. I mean, they're just kind of stabilized right now with where they are. But now Chris is going to pick up Dan. And that gap should begin to close as it is doing right now. So they're going to end up fine from that little exchange. What a great favor from Kenny McCullough to Chris, his cousin. I almost said his brother. That is his cousin, after all.
Actually, Landon, it's his nephew.
Oh, it's his nephew. Excuse me. So I still didn't get it right. Apologies to Kenny and Chris McCullough. It gets confusing. I obviously know Josh is the son of Kenny, but every time Chris gets into the picture, I seem to forget. But Chris was able to push Daniel Falkingham back up to the leaders, and now Kenny is going to try and push Chris back up to it. And I mean, they're losing right now to the leaders. Kenny's hot, and this isn't really working. And now they're starting to pull back in, even with Kenny not pushing Chris. Now he's going to push him right here. Hopefully back up to this main pack in that draft. Looks like they're going to do that, hopefully with ease. Let's take a look at the second pack, which is still just 5 cars. Eberhard, Jones, Little, Barksdale, and Theis. So now they are down 2 cars. It's not a 6v6 anymore. Now it turned into a 6v5 advantage to the leaders, and now it's 7 versus 5. So their gap just continues to get bigger. They're about 10 seconds behind the leaders of the race now. And I said it once, say it again, they need a caution. They need something to happen. But I guess we can look forward to some pit stops soon. The first one seemed to happen on about lap 18, 19 kind of ranged, around 20. So we should be seeing those the next 8, 9, 10 laps, which might spice us up even more. Who knows? All 6 of the leaders could crash into the pits, and then we'll definitely have a new race on our hands.
Yeah, Freddie Bazinez up at the front, looking for some air. He's getting hot behind his nightmare teammate Ethan Eckert. And you got the 4 amigos, basically, because Ethan, Freddie, Logan, and Nathan, they're all inseparable when it comes to the money racing community. I kind of dubbed them with that nickname just in the heat of the moment. But, yeah, I'm still losing things to talk about, Landon.
I mean, it's I guess, it's a good thing, though, because usually up in the booth there's always something to talk about, and unfortunately it tends to be under caution most of the time. And right now we're having a perfectly green flag race. We tried to have a crash. Well, I guess we did have a crash, just not a caution come out for it with Brian Hennings and Dylan Jones twice in the same lap. But they collected themselves, which is great for them. Great save by Brian and Dylan twice. But to the detriment of our audience out there and us in the booth, because it's turned into a little bit of separation throughout this entire field. Then again, it's kind of expected, It's a 75-lap race with multiple pit stops, and there's only 19 cars in the field. You expect this sort of thing to happen. It's a long race. These drivers aren't stupid. They know that. So they're going to take it easy for a little bit, at least the guys at the front, maybe minus whoever got into Brian Hennings and company out there with Dylan Jones as well. But we do have pit stops, hopefully approaching, in the next 5-ish laps now. And we'll see how those go. I will say this might turn into a little bit of a strategy game, maybe with the tires, potentially. Just who knows? The track temp. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Actually, the track temp for tonight is only 84 degrees, so the tire wear isn't going to be anything too extreme. But when you keep only putting left side tires on, obviously your right sides are going to be wearing out a little bit more than the lefts. Obviously, you keep putting new ones on, but if you run 75 laps on right side tires, they might get a little bit too worn for comfort, and whenever the real racing starts to happen, that could lead to issues. Who knows? But a nice and grippy track temp out there for the drivers here tonight, so it's good for them. But these pit stops soon approaching, and it's still the same 6 guys up front with the addition of Chris McCullough, the first car 1 lap down. Him and Kenny were able to catch back up to the pack with ease. But hold on, here's something to talk about. They're approaching 2 more lap cars, Rick Schneider and Michael Wingo, and they're going to move up to the top side of the racetrack. I assume at the request of Ethan Eckert or Kenny McCullough or Josh Jambroni, tonight's RC. But they're going to go by them with ease and not try to lay a side draft down on them. That's definitely, I know that's what I'd be doing if I was about to get lapped. I'd be side drafting this entire line back. Oh, maybe Michael Wingo's doing it. And Rick Schneider somewhat, but these two are going to need to connect. If they want to latch onto this pack too, Schneider's going to drop low to try and catch on with Kenny McCullough. And now Wingo's going to hop in behind him. And now Wingo needs to push Schneider if they have any hopes of staying with this pack. And I'll tell you what, Rick Schneider already is like at the same speed as them. So is Michael Wingo. That's odd. I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting them to gain that speed in the draft that quickly, especially with the new car. The new next-gen car since the update, but here they are. So now it's a 9-car pack. That is the lead pack of the race with the addition of 3 lapped cars. Chris McCullough leading them should a yellow flag come out. And that's good for Chris as well. He has his uncle, correct? Yes, his uncle behind him, helping him behind, protecting him from the newly lapped down cars of Schneider and Wingo. Now Michael Wingo, he's going to be at risk at losing it. That's about the same distance Asher Little was earlier when he lost the pack, and now he's probably going to lose it. Rick Schneider starting to lose it as well, so maybe we're going to be down to a 7-car pack once more. I'm going to check the chat real quick. We have comments from a bunch of people, as always. Danny Barnes, Devin Ray, Lisa W., I believe that's Tyler Vickery's mom. Good to see all of y'all out here. Heath Job as well. Got a comment from Danny. Let's talk about how many pit boxes Ethan and Nathan drive through on the next pit stop. Yeah, that is a very loosely defined rule in money racing. Driving
I'll fix that right now. Don't worry about it.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There's the word. So I guess we're going to start handing out penalties for that. And that'll these drivers that are used to driving through a lot of pit stalls, chief of which I would say is Nathan Harper, if anybody, is maybe not going to have a fun time if they start driving through too many stalls and get a penalty for it. And that could really change the tune of this race once more. So, we got Cody Nagels as well. Let's go Nightmare. Well, your 2 guys are doing a pretty good job right now. 1-2. That's good for them, working with Logan York and Nathan Harper.
They are controlling it, Cody.
Yeah, they're controlling it, Cody. The best thing, right? We're controlling the whole race. And, of course, I'm going to have a little bias. It's great to see that. But
no biases allowed.
No,
man.
exactly.
No
I apologize. You kind of have to. Pit stops. Here we
pit
go.
stops.
Let's
Here we go.
keep an eye out, like Danny Barnes said. How many pit boxes are they going to drive through? First off, is everyone going to get through clean? They are. Logan York locking up his tires once more. Not going to be doing any good, especially on that right side that he keeps locking up if he doesn't take these tires now. But let's take this back a little bit. Harper had to back up in his box.
Uh-oh.
Everyone else, I didn't notice anybody driving through too many boxes there, so...
I give him 4, and that's it.
Okay, 4 boxes, there we go, and now everyone leaving great for these guys. Eckert, Bazinez, Falkingham, York, Chris McCullough, Harper, and Schneider. Where did Kenny McCullough go? He must have had a poor pit stop. Kenny McCullough might be out of this draft unless he connects with Rick Schneider immediately to try and catch back up. Let's just keep an eye on that real quick. See if he is going to latch on and hopefully give him a push. Oh, he lets off. We probably needed to push him right there because these two they're in danger. of losing the back of this pack, which is now Nathan Harper. Chris McCullough's backing out. Maybe Chris is going to go back and pick up Kenny, return the favor to him, and that might have hurt Nathan Harper's efforts here. Because Harper is going to be, it's about him and York are actually truly in danger of losing it. The top three, when it cycles, will be Eckert, Baznez, and Falkingham. Brian Hennings and Hunter Hastings and Mark Von Dell. Here they are coming in for a pit stop. Nobody's driving through too many boxes. So there you go, Danny. I think we're keeping a good eye on that. And if anyone was, Josh would have announced that to us when the driver got penalized. But now, somehow we went from a 7-car group all the way down to a 3-car group. Eckert, Baznez, Falkingham now the leaders, and York and Harper are separated. Sure enough, Chris went to go pick up Kenny. They're going to pass Rick Schneider. And the smart thing for this group to do, when Chris gets here, we'll see if he's going to do it, is going to push Nathan Harper, and he's going to. That is the smart thing to do. Make sure you have as many cars as you possibly can get in your little pack for obviously the most energy, the most momentum. And now Harper needs to pick up York, which undoubtedly I believe he will. Right here, it's going to check their lineup momentarily. Look at that shot from Nathan Harper. Gets him a little bit loose. It was so big of a push, and now it's checking up the line behind him. With only 5 cars in the pack, we're having pretty big checkups, but now they're going to connect again and drive through each other. It is a 4.5 second gap back from Daniel Falkingham. Here he is. The back of what is now the lead pack of 3 cars, back to Logan York. Now, in theory, these guys have power in numbers, 2 more cars to their advantage to try and push, but this is the group. 3 of these guys are 3 of the guys that were in the top 6 that know how to drive this car. And
they are catching them, Landon.
They are. I am keeping an eye. They are slowly catching them. But obviously, Nathan Harper has fresh temps. That's something we got to remember. Nathan Harper his engine is fresh and cool. So he will drive through Logan York for as long as possible until one of those, the oil temp or the water temp, goes red on his dash, and then he will back off. He might push a little bit further, and now he's losing maybe a little bit of touch with Logan York. Let's zoom this in. Backed on Harper, and now he's backed off completely, and Logan York's not really dragging back to him, so that tells me Nathan might be getting a little bit hot. Chris McCullough is going to shove him back up. There he is. And now Harper letting off again. Nathan Harper's hot. So they were able to catch it, get that gap down to about 3.6 for now. And now it's all up to Nathan Harper to continue their push back to the front 3 of this race. Here they are. They're dealing with a little bit of lap traffic themselves now of Josh McCullough and James Waring. There they go. Oh, he hooked him. Josh McCullough just hooked James Waring into the wall, and Daniel Falkingham got a piece of that. But James Waring, they're going to continue. Yellow flag's obviously not going to come out. James Waring now with a damaged race car. Let's take a look at Daniel Falkingham.
Wow.
I'm wondering if Dan might have a little bit of damage, or maybe that's just the nose on the Ford Mustang in the next-gen cars.
No, he does have a little dent in the nose, Landon. Just a little scuff on the right front side.
Sure enough, he does. A little bit of a dent right there on the right front fender for Daniel Falkingham, but other than that, his car looks clean, so it's not going to be anything too bad for Dan. He's just going to keep going on his merry way. Josh McCullough, after turning James Waring, is now going to be 4th in line in this pack, and that's going to be hurting the efforts of these guys, because now they had a little bit of a numbers advantage. Now they don't. So here's what I'm wondering. We've seen Chris McCullough go back and help Kenny, well, Kenny helped Chris to begin with, and then Chris went and picked up Kenny. Josh McCullough's now a lap down himself. What is he going to do here? He's got to know that him being in his position right now, there he is, isn't helping these guys, or maybe it's not going to matter. But here comes Mark Von Dell, another McCullough Motorsports member, going to be put a 2nd lap down. So what is Mark going to do? These are the things we got to try and talk about here, because it turns into a game of chess, not checkers. These teammate games and everything. Mark Von Dell, there he is. Obviously, he's not going to stick onto that pack, so they're going to probably try and pick him up. We'll keep an eye on it, but Josh McCullough's still sticking up here with these guys. Not helping out his family members by any means in that 2nd pack. At least not yet, and these guys are going to get a pull off of Mark Von Dell once they get to him. That gap is still very steadily closing, but now it's opening back up again. And hold on, I wonder if okay, never mind. I thought I saw damage on the nose of Nathan Harper, but once again, it's that Ford Mustang nose that's throwing me off. So that's good for Harper, but they're getting that bridge now from Mark, and honestly, it's not really helping them much at all. That gap's just kind of narrowing. Maybe the leaders were getting a little bit of a tow from James Waring. The caution flag is out on the racetrack, and just forget everything we just said.
That changes everything.
That changes everything. Oh, Michael Wingo appears to be the car involved in the crash.
Oh.
With lots of damage, extensive damage to the nose of his car and the right front wheel and the right rear. What happened here?
Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's go back and see. We're going to keep this focused on Michael Wingo. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is a 3-car pack containing Michael Barksdale, Michael Wingo, and Sterling Theis. So let's go up and see. Actually, I'm going to back this up further because, okay, so we're getting the picture now. So Barksdale was by himself. There's a look at him, right? He's by himself. Michael Wingo and Sterling Theis are rapidly approaching him. Sterling isn't connected to Michael Wingo, but here comes Michael Wingo with a push to Michael Barksdale, as he should do. He checked up. Checked him up, and oh my, okay. Bam, big hit for Wingo and Theis. And then it continues. So I'll tell you what I'm seeing right here. Wingo did the correct thing in wanting to pick up Michael Barksdale. He understood that that's going to be more speed for their little group. But he checks up a little bit here. Maybe he should have, considering how rapidly they're approaching the 00. But that causes a stack up, and then when Theis hits him, it sends him up the racetrack. And then maybe looking like he's trying to get back down in front of him. I'm trying to get a better angle of this so maybe we can see. So here's the stack up. You're going to see it here. And I'll slow it down. Theis under the yellow is going to be coming back up. Let's say, well, I think Wingo's kind of holding his line right there, and Theis might have misjudged trying to come back up the racetrack into him just ever so slightly. And then that sends them into the wall right there. Big hit for Michael Wingo. Probably expired the engine on his machine. But yeah, I mean, that's just what I'm seeing right here. I don't know what your take is on this, Evan, but just a checkup gone wrong, and then a couple of guys trying to get back in line, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, my whole take on this is Michael Wingo and Sterling Theis and Michael Barksdale, they're all laps down. They're all pretty much racing for nothing at that point in the race, thinking that we're all going to go single file, flag to flag. So I think Wingo kind of just checked up, trying not to run over Barksdale in front of him, because you can see Barksdale kind of is like half a lane up, and then he fades down to the yellow line. So he's checking up, trying to get square with him. Sterling Theis does not get the memo and just runs into the back of Wingo, getting him loose, ultimately spinning him. It's just a checkup gone wrong, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, it is just a stack up, and like you said, you know, these cars are laps down and everything. And I mean, Wingo's trying to save it. It's just gets clipped right there as a result of the checkup from Theis, and ends up turning him around and completely changing the dynamic of this race now. Completely just flipped it on its head. So I guess that's great news for us and everyone in the audience for tuning in.
Yay!
Exactly, yes. Cheer loudly, because now we're not going to be in 25 different packs, and we're going to see some racing now, hopefully. But we'll get a couple more angles of this. Here's the entry into 3. There's the hook, and then, bam, that hit right on the in Daytona on the outside wall for Michael Wingo. I think Sterling Theis' damage is not going to be that bad at all. Doesn't appear to be. Maybe a little bit of right side, unless his wheel could be damaged. Mm-hmm. But other than that,
we also do have a fast repair too, so
yes.
He might have just taken it there.
Yeah, car doesn't appear to be driving too well. I'm trying to wait for this camera to move over to the right side of his car. Maybe the wheel's gone out of it. Oh yeah, sure enough, that right front wheel isn't moving. That's a fast repair for both Michael Wingo and Sterling Theis. So we'll take it back live. And there's a look at Wingo, obviously taking his fast repair, and it seems like Theis as well behind him, taking the fast repair as well. So they're still in the race, not out by any means, but now they're down their little safety net of their fast repair. So There we go. Complete reset. First caution of the race, excuse me, on lap 46. It's a great job by everyone in the field to not have that happen until lap 46. Honestly, I mean, that's admirable. I'm assuming that that was an iRacing thrown caution, Josh?
Yeah. For some reason, iRacing cautions are still on. They were not supposed to be. But yeah, that would not have been a caution, sadly. So, there's nothing we can do about it now.
Well, there we go. So, what was your take? Is there any penalties handed out there for what we just saw?
I gave Sterling there EOL just for not checking up, because that's the whole reason it was caused there. But I think his car is pretty badly damaged. Last time I seen it, his right front wheel was not turning at all. So, but he got the EOL. I mean, all he had to do was check up a little bit, and it would have helped his pack. But there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, so there's the news on that, and I will point out that Sterling does have a fresh car with the fast repair, so that is good, like we mentioned, for him. And Michael Wingo still involved in tonight's race. James Waring as well. What a break for him. James Waring got hooked a little bit earlier on by Joshua McCullough. And Brian Hennings. You know, it looks like, let's take a look at Brian. It seems like Brian might have fixed that left side damage he had under this caution. So now this has stacked everybody back up, albeit some cars a lap down. But the green flag's back out. Freddie Bazinez on the top side seems to be the leader of the race through some pit stops. Is going to be well clear of everybody. Going into turn number 1, Nathan Harper bails on the bottom. He wants the top side behind Dylan Jones, who we haven't seen up front all night. And now the contact's starting to begin. Bazinez and York go down to the bottom of the racetrack. It's going to be good for them, but not good for Ethan Eckert. Dylan Jones has his right rear and is sucking him back quickly into Kenny McCullough's back bumper. Top side is Harper pushing Jones, excuse me. Now York hops up in front of Dylan Jones. Falkingham getting a little bit shuffled back, probably repairing his damage. York blinks at the front. McCullough bails to the top. Jones bails to the bottom. We definitely have some racing now here on lap 50.
Yeah, you have Logan York and Nathan Harper just nose to tail on each other. We know, even with Logan blinking, that Nathan will not leave him. They are the best of buds outside of any type of racing in our community. But you got Dylan Jones, Freddie Bazinez, and Ethan Eckert pushing 3 deep on the bottom, trying to make some hay. You got Dan dropping to the bottom now. Yeah,
Daniel Falkingham wants no part of sitting behind these guys any further. He's going to hop down in front of Dylan Jones. York blocks him. He bails back to the top. Jones now pushing Falkingham on the bottom. Bazinez and Eckert getting shuffled right here. This is the furthest back they've been the entire race. And now, whoa, lots going on the outside of the racetrack. Everyone's zigzagging every which direction. D3. Ooh, okay, so here's something I want to point out. So, obviously, we now have a 6-car breakaway. You know why? Because we're 3 wide in this middle part of the pack, and that just sucked everybody back. Eckert is now clear, but Hennings is not. His push is not clear yet. Now he might very well will be, so that's good for Eckert and Hennings trying to catch back up now. And now these guys notice that. They're going to single file out because they know they're going to be slow side by side. They want to get single file so they can potentially break away from some of these guys. Here we go. These guys in the back seems to have single filed it out now. Eckert, Hennings, Josh McCullough, who is now back on the lead lap of the race. D3, Hunter Hastings, and basically everyone else back there. Single file. Look at the run from the top. Oh, my goodness. Ethan Eckert, high side. Hennings doesn't go with him. And now this is horrible news for the likes of Dylan Jones and Kenny McCullough, because now they're going to get side drafted back when there's a 4-car breakaway.
Oh,
Eckert,
Josh McCullough.
Yeah, Josh was in contact with Brian Hennings. Ethan's going to come back down, and now Josh McCullough, the odd man out, as everyone is caught back up single file. Like you said, that piece of not string cheese, a mozzarella stick, excuse me, you got strung out for a second. Now we're stringing it back together.
Great analogy, wasn't that not, Landon, huh?
Oh, it was terrific. I've always tried to search for something to compare the way these cars race to, and that was definitely it. I'm very glad you said it.
Well, if it's anything, it's either a mozzarella stick or a synthesizer. So I decided to make the mozzarella stick because everybody knows what a Moz stick is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a good analogy there. I will point out also, we just saw that camera. The back, it seems to be this is only a 10-car pack with the addition of Michael Wingo, who's a lap down machine. Behind that is Asher Little, who is someone that honestly deserves to be at the front of this thing, knows what he's doing, especially in this car, is now losing the pack once more. But here comes Josh McCullough, James Waring, Chris McCullough, Michael Barksdale to his aid. A big push from Josh that actually gave Josh damage on the nose of his car. He did not lift on Asher Little's bumper. It looks like Asher might potentially have a little damage, or maybe that's a paint job. Kind of tough to tell, but these guys have lost this pack now. So they need to get organized and do it quickly. I don't know if it's really going to be too much avail, though. They're going to need to take advantage of some pit stops or a yellow flag to come out. Leader of the race, Daniel Falkingham, followed by York, Harper, Baznez, Jones. The top 5, McCullough, Eckert, Hennings, Eberhardt, and Hastings. Rounding out the top 10, coming to 21 laps to go. Daniel Eberhardt in the back, not really a surprise here. He wants to race. He doesn't want to be riding around in line. He wants to go up there and race. He sees his buddy, his teammate up there, Dylan Jones. He wants to get linked up with him. But nobody's biting right now. Everyone's staying single file. And what D3's doing, see, he's side drafting Brian Hennings away from the pack. Now he gets off the side draft. He realizes what's going on. So we'll most likely file back in behind Michael Wingo here. But we're back to our single file race. I don't know what that was from D3, but he finds a spot in line now behind Wingo, and it's going to push these guys back up to the front.
Yeah, as you were saying, Asher Little fell all the way back just when he thought he had the chance to stay up front. It all goes in the quick snap of a finger because of this new update with the next gen. Like I said, the mozzarella stick, the synthesizer, whatever it is, you're just going to string out if you're not locked on to the back bumper of the guy in front of you. You got Josh McCullough pushing him, who's got a severely damaged front end. And then James Waring, who just took his fast repair, he doesn't look like he's sucking up to Josh McCullough. So it's a bad race going worse for a bunch of these guys that are falling off the main pack.
Yeah, and got some zoomed in shots of a couple of these guys that have lost now what was and is the main pack of like Hennings and all that. They seem to have caught back up, so that's great for Hennings. And it was that Hunter Hastings in the 44 behind him. So that side draft administered by the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt hurt Brian Hennings and Hunter Hastings and Michael Wingo to begin with. They were able to clear it out. Thankfully, Hennings and Hastings were to catch back up to this pack. Now Eberhardt is working on Michael Wingo to try and push him back up to this pack. They're about 4/10 back. Still well within draft range. Should be no issue there in catching back up. Let's take a look back. Asher Little, Josh McCullough, James Waring, and Christopher McCullough are still continuing to truck along in this pack. Let's see if there's a couple more packs. I think there is. Sure enough, back here to Sterling Theis, Rick Schneider, Mark Von Dell, and Michael Barksdale. That's the third pack on the racetrack. They obviously need significant help now because these guys have completely lost it, and so will Asher Little and everyone else in his group with Josh McCullough and the two lapped cars of James Waring and Chris McCullough, who I will say those two are battling for the lucky dog right now, but they realize it's in their best interest to stay in line and try and just make as much pace as possible considering we still have a pit stop upcoming.
Yeah, I wonder if those guys that got off touch with the main pack, I wonder if they're crossing their fingers while driving, hoping for a caution, because it came out in the unlikeliest of scenarios back on lap 46. But ultimately, my prediction, Landon, is we're not going to get another yellow. We're going to get a green flag pit stop, and it's going to split up this field. As we saw earlier, Freddie Bowsen has just blinked in fourth place, and he's back on track. But I want to give a shout-out to Hunter Hastings, who happened about the early part of this race when Brian Hennings got turned around. He fell off the pack with Brian Hennings early on, and he was just riding. Now look at him. He's in the top 10. He's knocking on the door of a possible cash spot tonight. And he has been getting better every week since I've been around him. So I hope he gets himself into a cash spot tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does amidst the chaos of a little dog, big dog race.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I'd like to refute your prediction because it's so hard to say that the rest of this race is going to go green. I mean, we have all these guys at the front, and here come the pit stops. Actually, here comes everybody.
Michael Wingo.
Michael Wingo almost cleaned a couple out. He didn't want to pit there, and obviously some late decisions there from some drivers in this pack, and now we have early pit stops, short pitting this race, and everyone got in very cleanly. That's good for them. I will say, I'll keep my mouth shut. A couple drivers maybe driving through some boxes there, but Brian Hennings, Kenny McCullough, Daniel Eberhardt, Nathan Harper, Dylan Jones, Hunter Hastings. I'll tell you what, this group's pretty organized. right here. Maybe not around McCullough, Jones, and oh no, it's getting bad now. Harper and McCullough are phased through each other. They need to sort that out. They have. So, honestly, a very good exit from everyone in this lead pack. See who else was there. Here's Brian Hennings, Hunter Hastings, and I do think if Hastings can connect to Brian Hennings here, I think we're going to have everyone back together as we had them before. Back here, Josh McCullough, Asher Little, Chris McCullough, and James Waring, sorry. The 4 cars that were in the second pack, they now come in for their pit stop. Here you see Josh. Wonder if he'll take his fast repair here. Doesn't look like he's going to. He's just going to fuel it up. Never mind, he just fixed it as I say that, so Josh now has a new front end. Asher Little is scored as leader of the race right now, but it's being eaten up right now by the second packet. Here they come. Look at him fly by him. And it's back to what we had before. Now, okay, this is a problem. Freddie Bazinez is blinking pretty significantly right now, and he's inside Daniel Falkingham. He's inside of him, no. And now, that could have been horrible. He was phased inside when he blinked back in of Falkingham and Dylan Jones. Now that's going to send Bazinez to the back of this pack. I'll tell you.
Quickly.
Shades of Bazinez's Nightmare eSports teammate Chase Mastretta, who has a habit of phasing through people towards the ends of races. Freddie just had that happen to him, and we'll see if he's able to latch onto this pack. It looks like he's going to be fine for now. I don't know. We'll see, but this pack has been whittled down to 8 cars with the addition of Bazinez. Hennings and Hastings, unfortunately, not able to catch back up. But I'll tell you what, Evan, this is enough cars to have a crash before the end of the race, so I would not count out another caution flag that would help out Hennings and Hastings and Asher Little and Josh McCullough and everyone else on the lead lap right now.
Yeah, don't count your chicks before they hatch, is what my grandfather always told me. But I don't know, just the way of how consistent everybody has been tonight. It wouldn't surprise me if we just go green, but we might have a crash on the last lap. Who knows? It almost sounds like you're praying for the crash and not me.
Well, I'm not saying I'm praying for it. That's just an expectation. It's what we go in to every race expecting. I'll let me point something out while you were talking about that. Just something I just noticed. Ethan Eckert, hold on, let me restart. Daniel Falkingham and Dylan Jones got way out ahead of this pack. That would not normally happen, especially when Dylan Jones is hot and is not exactly tandeming away from the field. Bazinez was at risk of losing this pack. He's got his teammate, Ethan Eckert, right there, and Harper and all those guys working together. Wonder if they, checked up the field a little bit and get Freddie back up there.
Oh, 100% you just did that.
So, I mean, and there's nothing against that, that's just...
we got racing.
We have racing.
Got a thing against it.
Ooh.
Oh, Dylan Jones gets bailed on. Here comes his teammate, Daniel Eberhardt, to the inside to help him, but it's only the 2 of them.
Only the 2 of them down there on the bottom side of the racetrack with Kenny McCullough as well. Yeah, here he comes with a big run. They should take this top side, and Kenny's actually just going to split him out, continue on with his run, and get back behind Freddie Bazinez. I guess Joshi said Kenny McCullough wasn't too pleased with what just happened on the racetrack. Ethan Eckert for the lead in turn 3 with Harper. Trying to pass Falkingham, York with him as well, and so is Bazinez. Kenny McCullough, oh, what a clear from Daniel Falkingham in front of Freddie Bazinez to get back in the line. And this is, Kenny McCullough is going to come away okay with this. We're back to the original 6 cars that we had in that lead pack from earlier. But Dylan Jones, Daniel Eberhardt, yeah, he's pushed him. They're going to be okay. I thought they were going to be at risk of losing this too. So as quickly as we just had racing, was as quickly as it just filed back to single file racing. This car is so strange to me now with this update. It's very odd, but these guys have decided, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Sit in line, I guess. Jones and Eberhardt, they had a run, and they didn't want to take it. So they're just going to sit in line, bide their time, and we'll wait for more racing to occur at the front as we come to 10 laps to go. Talk about Brian Hennings and Hunter Hastings. These two, once again, have been at each other's hip the entire race. Unfortunately, at most of the time, not being in the lead pack. But these two have not left each other the whole race. They also have Michael Barksdale coming up on them. That's going to help their run out a little bit. But at the end of the day, 10 laps to go. They're 9 seconds behind. They need a yellow flag to come out to help their efforts. Back up front, it's Eckert, Harper, York, Falkingham. Still, they're going to move up to the top. And Logan York, very wiggly right there, getting up behind Nathan Harper. Daniel Falkingham, Freddie Baznez responded, moving up to the top. So did everyone else. Kenny McCullough, Dylan Jones, and Daniel Eberhardt, who have successfully caught this pack. McCullough wants no part of it. He's going to hop down. So will Dylan Jones with him and Daniel Eberhardt out of turn 4.
Yep, Daniel Eberhardt goes back to the top, leaving his own teammate, Dylan Jones, and he goes back down to the bottom. It's almost like he can't decide which lane he wants to go to. You see Daniel Falkingham and Freddie Baznez, they just administered a side draft on those 3 on the bottom. Watch out for Ethan Eckert to block this run on the bottom, and he's not going to get it, but they're going to side draft, and it's just going to pull them back. It's just quantity versus quality. You got numbers on the top side and not so much on the bottom side.
Yeah.
Ethan Eckert getting pushed back out to the lead by Nathan Harper. As we're closing in on, 8 laps to go in this race. Oh, Kenny McCullough hits the bib. He's loose on the bottom.
He saves it, though, luckily in front of Dylan Jones. They had a run that could have got Kenny McCullough clear, and honestly, it wasn't that great of a side draft that was put down by Ethan Eckert on Kenny McCullough. There seemed to be a little bit of miscommunication going on the racetrack regarding that side draft, and now cars are all over the place. These 3 at the front don't know where they want to go. They keep going bottom, they keep going top, now they're back to the bottom, and it's kind of crazy racing up front right now, but now Baznez has found his way back into the 4th position with McCullough, Falkingham, who gets shuffled back to the 6th position, Eberhardt in 7th and 8th, Eberhardt in 7th, 8th being Dylan Jones. Now, if Falkingham, Eberhardt, and Jones get linked up together, that is a group of cars to watch out for. They're going to be coming with a run at some point. If they build it correctly and at the perfect time, their run is going to be insane. But now, Kenny McCullough, he doesn't like what he sees in front of him. He knows these guys are most likely working all together. Falkingham's going to go with him. He probably knows that too. Obviously, Eckert and Baznez are going to be together, and you know that York and Harper are going to be together no matter what. And look at the side draft that Kenny McCullough going up did put on Freddie Baznez. That was a terrific move by Kenny McCullough, looking back on it, getting around Freddie Baznez right there. Here's Michael Barksdale. Oh, and we got more racing at the front. These guys are going to move back to the top side. They realize that's the strong side of the racetrack. When they have a run on the bottom, here comes the run. They're going to come down to the side draft. It's almost clinical. Kenny McCullough again getting turned. Oh, Logan York gets split out by Daniel Eberhardt.
Kenny! And this is some amazing racing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. Kenny clears up in front of Daniel Eberhardt. Eberhardt doors York. These 2 have had beef in the past. We'll see if that carries over now. Jones behind Eberhardt. Going to try and push Kenny McCullough, back up here. Another good push, but it's just not strong enough because Eckert's going to come down and be able to side draft that one, as well as Harper and York side drafting Dylan Jones. Now Falkingham and Baznez need to get together and see if they can make their way through this field with 6 laps to go.
Top side is rolling. You got the 3 guys that are basically all best friends in this community. Like I said earlier, you got Ethan Eckert, Nathan Harper, and Logan York. It's going to be hard to stop them, but don't count out D3 and Dylan Jones. They know how to get themselves to the front and to win, ultimately. It's just going to be tough as they're at the back of this pack. You got D3 and Dylan Jones moving to the outside, but I don't know how effective that's going to be, just being the 2 of them. And there's 3 wide with Logan York and Freddie Baznez.
Yeah, D3 trying to take right rears, and he does have help behind him. He's going to successfully get around Logan York. And York side drafting Dylan back out of spite, and it's still going to be 3 wide. I don't know if this is the right move here because they're just side drafting themselves away from the top 4 guys right now. This, I don't know. I think it would have been wise for York to get in line. He's going to be forced to get into line now with Baznez behind him, and now Eberhardt and Jones are going to get back down. They're not in danger of losing the draft by any means, but that's a tough move for those guys because the side draft's so strong, you got to get away from it. Now Dylan Jones and Daniel Eberhardt with a run. Falkingham tried to block high, and he did, but Eberhardt didn't want to go high. He wanted to go bottom, and he's going to go down there with Dylan Jones once more with 4 laps to go. No help down there with him yet. Baznez is sticking to the high side with Logan York. So those 2 are probably going to try and make an effort around Daniel Falkingham and Kenny McCullough. It might very well come out of this, going into turn 3 maybe, when they try to make this move on the bottom side of the racetrack. Because they had a little bit of a run. It wasn't good enough. Baznez peeking. Maybe trying to tell York, hey, let's go down. Let's go down. But nothing yet. Now we're just rim riding the wall. Falkingham down with York and Baznez and Eberhardt as well. Leaving out McCullough, Harper, and Eckert. Eckert blocks the bottom of the racetrack. Harper is still on the top side with Kenny McCullough getting shoved. Falkingham's clear, so is Eckert. Eckert throws that block. They're going to clear back up potentially. Eckert trying to read Falkingham, not blocking him soon enough. Falkingham to the lead with 3 laps to go.
Oh, Nathan Harper is squirrely getting pushed by Kenneth McCullough. You got Daniel Eberhardt and Dylan Jones. Oh, Logan York clears up in front of him. That was a little late, if I had to say, but Logan's going back to the bottom. What is this racing that we're watching?
There's no sorts of organization across any part of this field right now. It's a bunch of guys who want to work together and a bunch of guys racing out of some spite right now. And it's crazy. It's just so funny to me how quickly we go back to single file racing. McCullough to the bottom. Harper is not going to go with him. He's going to stick with Falkingham. York's going to stick with Harper. Kenny McCullough, nobody home for Kenny McCullough. But his race is not over. We're coming to 2 laps to go. He could very easily come back through and win this race. He has no help behind him, and he's going to have to get up and get up quick. Now he might. Eckert Basnez down to the bottom of the racetrack. McCullough, it might be it for McCullough. He's not catching that draft. Eberhardt and Jones trying to side draft. Eckert's going to be clear. York down to the bottom. Going to try and pass Nathan Harper. Falkingham blocks. He's going to block him. That's going to help York and Eckert. Maybe not with Eckert. Dylan and D3, come up and help Nathan Harper, which side drafts Eckert. York and Falkingham now racing side by side. Who will Nathan Harper go with? He's going to go down with Logan York. Daniel Eberhardt's going to stay high, and he's going to try and split Falkingham, and he's going to get there. Dylan Jones is with him. Daniel Eberhardt with a split of a century in turn number 3, and now we're back to 7 cars in this pack. Kenny McCullough has lost this draft. With that move, that is tough news for him. Out of turn 4, coming to the white flag. Eberhardt, Jones, out of nowhere, going to be leaders of the race. Now there's not much momentum on the bottom side with York, Harper, Falkingham. They're going to clear back up in front of Basnez, and now Falkingham's the odd man out. They're going to have a run. Harper's going to be pushing York, and they're obviously going to take it to the bottom side. Will Eckert try to block? We'll see. They're actually going to stay where they are. They stayed where they are on the top side of the racetrack. I'm shocked they had so much of a run. Now Falkingham's going to probably lose this draft, and we're going to settle it with 6 cars. Jones and Eberhardt still leading the race. Oh, they're trying to go down. They're not trying to do it yet. Eckert's going to make the move. Here he goes. York with him. Harper with him as well. Basnez most likely in tow as well. Eberhardt to the bottom to try and block. Doesn't block him good enough. They phase through each other. Eckert to the lead with a push from Logan York. Eberhardt is getting side drafted back. What move will Logan York make? Or is he going to push Ethan Eckert home? Here they come to the checker flag of the race. It's going to be Ethan Eckert winning the race. Logan York and Daniel Eberhardt III. Rounding out the podium, Nathan Harper and Dylan Jones will finish 4th and 5th and round out the cash spots for tonight's race. What a great run towards the end of that race, and a clean run too. A yellow flag did not fly, and that is terrific news. It's definitely for all of us race fans out here, and I'll tell you what, I'm out of breath. I feel like I was just rapping Rap God by Eminem out there. Those last 5 laps, that was crazy. But Ethan Eckert winning tonight's race with the push from Logan York. Congratulations to Ethan Eckert for Nightmare
The
Esports.
dominant car of the night wins for once.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, very rarely do we see that in iRacing and in real life, but we saw it both times today. Chris Bell leading the most laps in the NASCAR race. Ethan Eckert most likely leading the most laps here tonight and winning tonight's race as he does his burnouts in the middle of the Daytona grass. Wow, what a finish. I am truly out of breath right now. That was insane.
You said a final 5 laps, man. That was a final 13 lap dash. Kenny McCullough was a man on a mission, but ultimately one bad move screwed him over at the end. Daniel Falkingham also, I don't think he had a bad move necessarily. It was just a matter of who's helping who at what point, and he fell off of the draft coming in 7th, and then Freddie Basnez, heartbreaker, because he was the next dominant car behind Ethan Eckert, but his blinking issues put him at the back of the pack. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's tough for Basnez, but I mean, what a run. What a run by these guys up front. It was just a thrilling race to watch, and especially towards the end. So you don't need to have 60 cars on a racetrack in order for it to be a fun race to watch, especially coming to the finish. That right there, we had 6 of them by the end of it, and it was still a thrill to watch. That's
well,
terrific.
Landon, 60 cars on a racetrack is never a fun thing, so I don't know why you had to say that.
Well, I mean, you never know, but we're going to go ahead and pull up the final results for tonight's race, because, I mean, this was a fantastic race. I was very, very happy with what this outcome ended up being with the racing we had. It was terrific. Ethan Eckert, the winner for Nightmare Esports. As we stated, Logan York in 2nd, Daniel Eberhardt in 3rd, Nathan Harper 4th, Dylan Jones rounding out the top 5 finish here tonight. Freddie Basnez will finish 6th. Daniel Falkingham, with that side draft that was given to him, ends up all the way back in 7th, 3/10 off, almost 4/10 off of the rest of the field. Kenny McCullough, with his move, ends up almost 7 seconds behind the field in 8th place. Brian Hennings 9th, Hunter Hastings in 10th. Joshua McCullough will finish 11th. Asher Little 12th, and Rick Schneider will finish 13th, the last of the lead lap cars. Chris McCullough, first car lap down, 14th. James Waring in 15th. Mark Von Dellen 16th. Michael Barksdale will finish 17th, and Michael Wingo will finish in the 18th position, I believe. Only one more car here tonight. If we can get to that very quickly. 19th place. It'll be Sterling Theis in 19th position, rounding out tonight's field. Unfortunately, Ambrose Knabel was not able to start tonight's race. Well, we are going to go ahead and grab your top 3 finishers for interviews. Stick with us. We will be right back from Daytona. Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway, race number 6 of MMS Money Racing's Little Dogs, Big Dogs series. And tonight's winner was Ethan Eckert, and we are going to be standing by with him in just one moment. Here he is, Ethan Eckert. Landon, Evan, and Josh in the booth. Do you have a copy?
What's up, guys?
So this race was, how do we put it? The first 46 laps of the race before the yellow flag flew, it was very calm. It was very kind of separated. Granted, there was only 19 cars in the race, but you had your little pack with your guys of Eckert, excuse me, you are Ethan Eckert, York, Basnez, and Harper, presumably all working together in this race, and you guys basically went out there and dominated it with Kenny McCullough and Daniel Falkingham as well. Walk us through just your entire race, especially that beginning portion, from when the first caution came out, how that strategy changed for you in your head and everything after that.
I mean, did we really make it that obvious to us before we were working together? I'm sure we did. It was very obvious. I mean, we just tried to stay hooked up together, lead the line, just be out front, because with this new package, if you're in the back, you can be full throttle and lose the draft. It's pretty stupid. But really, just stay up front. Track position was key. Nail your pit stops. Nathan messed that up one time and ended up costing Logan the draft. But the whole thing was trying to stay together. I mean, Jimbroni, you can even ask him. He got pretty mad at me earlier in the race for dragging brake to get Freddie caught back up. He's like, I'll give you a warning if you do that. I'll give you a drive-through if you do that again. And I'm like, man, that's not against the rules. And I mean, it was just stay together and get it done, which is what we did.
Yeah, 100%. It was funny. We noticed that on the broadcast too. But it's like, how are those two tandeming away from 5 cars behind them? But that was a little funny moment in the race. And at the end of the day, it works out for y'all. Y'all stayed grouped together and found your way back to the front. Were able to work together and win tonight's race. Actually, get a 1-2 for your little group you had tonight. And during that finish, the racing we saw was thrilling racing with only a pack of 8 cars. What was the strategy outside of working with the guys you were working with? Did you expect Logan York to try and make a move on you towards the end, or was it known that he was just going to stick with you all the way home?
I mean, we were talking about that, and I mean, it was we were committed to each other. We weren't going to cost us a podium and a 1-2 finish. So I mean, it's yeah. In that situation, I don't think it's very smart to make a move on me. But I mean, it worked out. I won, and we got 2 of the top 3 and 3 of the 5 cash spots. So it worked out.
Yeah, there we go. A terrific race by the 12 of Ethan Eckert for Nightmare Esports. Go ahead and give out your thanks and your shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to Nightmare, shout out to Logan and Nathan, former teammates of mine. It was nice to have us 4 back together, and Freddie, us 4 back together. You for broadcasting, Evan for broadcasting, Jim Brunny for RC, Kenny for putting this on, everyone that came out and raced, and everyone that watched.
There we go. That is Ethan Eckert, tonight's winner of the race. Thanks for talking to us. Congrats.
Thank you.
Well, there we go. Now we will bring up Logan York, tonight's second place finisher, and Evan Karlbon stands by with him.
Hey, Logan, it's Evan, Landon, and Josh in the booth. You got a copy?
What's up?
Nothing much. It was a pretty peaceful race that we had for the first about 45 to 50 laps, and then once that first caution came out, the racing was on. Can you take us through those last 10 to 15 laps where everybody was, I don't know what the word is, jockeying for position, and you ultimately got it done. Well, not got it done, but you got a podium out of this. So just take us through your whole race analysis.
Yeah, well, the beginning, the pit stops were cool, and then I screwed up that last one before the caution because I kind of trying to help Nathan, and I backed up for him a little bit and lost the draft. So I'm a pretty big idiot for that. But after that, the last green flag run, there's a bunch of just taking every run and then side drafting the bottom whenever they got there. Just the normal next gen stuff. And yeah, just the only difference, I guess, is that if you're the last car in line, like you're always at risk of losing the draft, as you saw with Falkenham there at the end. I don't really like these cars at all. These cars kind of suck, so I'm kind of glad this race is over. Good result still. Second place is not bad at all. Wish I could have won, but I was scared of if I made a move at the end that I would have gotten blocked or something. So yeah.
Yeah, never a dull moment with Logan York in the booth. Do you have any thanks or shout-outs to be said?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. I want to thank McCullis for putting the race on, the series, all of the drivers that showed up, and everyone that watches.
All right, Logan. Good job today, bud.
Appreciate it.
That was a second place finisher, Logan York. We appreciate him talking to us real quick. And now we'll bring up someone that's definitely going to have a different take on the ending of tonight's race. That's going to be D3, Daniel Eberhardt III. D3, Landon, Evan, and Josh at the booth. You have a copy?
Yeah.
Already don't sound too thrilled, even though you still got a podium finish. And you, if we're being honest, you're a little bit outnumbered out there with Dylan Jones. You have like 4 cars working together right there. Throughout this race, because you really only found yourself back to the front with these cautions that came out and everything. Obviously, these cars are kind of strange, and if you're at the back, you're going to get sent to the back anyway. How did you approach when the first caution flag came out? What was your approach from that point forward of getting back to the front of this thing and coming home with a podium finish?
Well, let's go back to where Brian Hennings got turned, right? Let's go back to that. When somebody's spinning like that and half the field's checking up, I think it's kind of ridiculous not to throw a yellow. I get it. I get the rules. I get it. But people get mad about the ARCA braking and all these other money racing series, and that is why we ARCA brake right there, because the caution's not even out. I mean, there's nothing you can do but hold it wide open because you lose the draft. So, and then after the caution came out, then I made it 3 wide and about lost the draft again because these stupid cars. I mean, iRacing's got to fix it. It's not the driver's fault. It's not anybody else's fault but iRacing's. And if they got more time to just deal with making the money than they do care about the product they're putting out there, then they need to find somebody else to do it, because this is just getting ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry, it is, because I mean, that racing right there is dog water.
Well, there we go. Some bold words from Daniel Eberhardt tonight, and I mean, honestly, it's hard to kind of disagree with what you're saying, but throughout all the adversity with the caution not coming out and the way the cars are aerodynamically, and you know 3 wide, lose the draft or whatever, you still come home in P3. So for the ending of the race, how did you and Dylan approach the ending and try to get one of you the win here tonight?
Try to get to the right rear. You were just waiting on them to make a mistake there and not, block it. And I mean, Falkenham about stepped on all of us there when he blocked a huge run I had. I was like, dude, you can't block that. Like, sometimes you just got to learn to take your L and go to the back and then try to work your way back up. But then it just screwed him when he made that block, and then it just jambled us all up. It just, it's just the product of these race cars, man. It's just the product of this package. And you should have been out there tonight. I don't know why you're not out there. You need to be out there every single race. You need to stop getting your panties in a wad and let's race. All right? I'll see you the next one.
What about me, D3?
Who is this?
It's Evan.
Oh, Evan? Yeah, man. Hey, if we will get lined up, I will work with you any time of the week, any day. The problem is we got to work on our moves we make, man. If y'all make a move, make sure you got the run. Just don't hop up in front of somebody with the run. You know?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's true. And speak, I guess very candidly, if I'm kind of sick of getting wrecked, so I'm spending more time up in the booth right now, taking a little break. But.
Yeah.
Hey, I get it, dude. I totally understand. But hey, if you ever want to hang out with me and Dylan Jones, you're always free to try it, man. And we're always down to race with other people, but it's always just mine and him. Just me and him, I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go. We got job offers getting put out on the table here for post-race. I definitely appreciate the words from Daniel Eberhardt right there. Go ahead and give out your thanks and your shout-outs.
Yeah, thank you to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Thank you to Ken. Thank you to Josh Jabroni. I don't know what he is.
Either one's fine. Don't matter.
Yeah. Thank you for holding up to your actual rule book and race control. Don't change any of them after or in or before the race. And thank you for Kenneth again for putting on this race.
There we go. That's tonight's third place finisher, Daniel Eberhardt III, D3 himself. Congrats again. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, man.
Well, there we go, and a very bold interview from Daniel Eberhardt right there.
What a chap.
That was awesome.
Chap.
I think a lot of
guy.
these guys, usually they get interviewed, and it's usually a bunch of the same kind of how NASCAR drivers are. Oh, we just did this and this, and it was a great day for my team. And I think it's kind of refreshing to have an interview like that from Daniel Eberhardt. It was pretty awesome. But at the end of the day, Ethan Eckert wins the race with Logan York in second, D3 third. So I think we'll start with Evan. What were your thoughts really on tonight's race as a whole? Because, I mean, we had more than half of it being kind of simple, just single file and just spread out racing, the mozzarella stick to your analogy. And then we had chaos at the end. So what were your thoughts?
Oh, I think it was controlled chaos at the end because we didn't have a wreck or anything. We almost did with Kenny McCullough twice, hitting the bip and getting spun, getting pushed in the turn. But this race was simple, like you said. It was just they had a dominant car in Ethan Eckert working with Freddie Bosnez, Nathan Harper, and Logan York all together. They just controlled the race, man. And like with everything from pit stops to pushing to side drafting to everything, they were just unstoppable. Ethan Eckert led 47 laps of this 75-lap race. So therefore, he was the dominant car, like I said. And at the very end, we had a thrilling battle to the finish, and that was one of the best races between just a gaggle of cars that we have that I've ever seen in money racing so far, because I've only been here for a year, so I can't really say yet. But yeah, that was a great race, and kudos to Josh for keeping everybody in check. You got Kenny for throwing it up and having his series. This was probably the best race of the series so far that I've seen. And thank you, Landon, for bringing me up here for another chance at striking gold and trying to do broadcasting. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a little ironic, isn't it? We only have 19 cars, and it's one of the best races of the season. Just the thought I had while you were talking
one of the
about
best
that.
finishes.
Yeah, that's
this
true.
race was a little lousy at times because at times when I reverted in the broadcast, I said I'm running out of things to think about. So.
Well, that's just the nature of the car and how easy it is to separate and everything like that. That's always going to be tough. But we'll move on to Josh. Obviously, as the RC tonight, your job was pretty simple. You had a couple of cautions to deal with, and they were plain and simple cautions. And you were up here, you were able to watch a great race to the finish.
Yeah, it was a great race altogether. One of the cleanest races we've had in a while. I know it only had, like you said, 19 drivers, but still, one of the cleanest races there was, and it was a great race overall. We saw some 3 wide, didn't see some 4 wide, which kind of made me sad, but it's all right. I'll take a clean race over some 4 wide any day of the week.
Yeah, sure enough. Well, we appreciate all of you out there for tuning in and watching race number 6 of tonight's race. Let me go ahead and pull up the schedule real quick so we see where we will be racing at next Sunday. Give me one moment here. Trying to find it. Here we are. Next Sunday night will be... Oh, that's going to be a fun one. Yeah, y'all tune in next Sunday night. iRacing Super Speedway for 75 laps in the Xfinity car. That is going to be a thrilling event next Sunday night for MMS Money Racing Little Dogs Big Dogs.
I don't
Tune
think
in.
thrilling's the word, buddy.
Oh, it'll be something, that's for sure. But we will find out next Sunday night here on PGR eSports. Thanks to all of you out there for watching. Thanks to Evan and Josh for sitting up here in the booth with me. Thanks to Kenny for putting up the races and the series as always. And we hope all of you out there have a very, very good night.